A single father took 3 bullets for a dying CEO he barely knew. He expected nothing. But the next morning, everything changed. What happened next will restore your faith in humanity and prove that one act of courage can transform countless lives forever. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The rain hammered against the windshield as Marcus drove through the dark streets of Chicago. His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, knuckles white with tension. In the back seat sat his only passenger for the night, Richard Caldwell, CEO of Caldwell Industries, one of the most powerful pharmaceutical companies in the country. Marcus had been driving for Elite Protection Services for 3 years now. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid the bills. More importantly, it let him be there for his daughter, Emma. At 7 years old, she was his entire world, the only thing that mattered after his wife Sarah died from kidney failure 2 years ago. Take the next left, Richard's voice crackled through the intercom. The CEO looked pale and tired. Marcus knew why. Richard was on dialysis, his kidneys failing just like Sarah's had. 3 times a week, Richard spent hours hooked up to machines, fighting to stay alive while waiting for a transplant that might never come. Marcus turned left into a quieter street. Something felt wrong. His instincts, honed from years of military service before becoming a driver, screamed at him to be careful. Suddenly, 2 black SUVs blocked the road ahead. Marcus hit the brakes hard. His heart pounded as he saw armed men emerging from the vehicles, their faces covered with masks. "Get down!" Marcus shouted at Richard. Before he could reverse, bullets shattered the back window. Glass exploded everywhere. Marcus threw himself over the seat, covering Richard's body with his own. The CEO gasped beneath him. "They're after me," Richard whispered, his voice shaking. "My brother, he wants me dead, the company." More bullets tore through the car. Marcus felt white-hot pain explode in his shoulder. Then another bullet hit his chest. Then his side. 3 bullets. 3 burning points of agony. But Marcus didn't move. He stayed on top of Richard, shielding him with his own body. Blood soaked through his shirt. His vision blurred. He thought of Emma. His little girl with her mother's brown eyes. Who would take care of her? The shooting stopped. Footsteps approached the car. Through his fading consciousness, Marcus heard voices. "Is he dead? Check him." Sirens wailed in the distance. The footsteps retreated quickly. Doors slammed. Engines roared away. "Stay with me," Richard's voice broke through the darkness. The CEO had crawled out from under Marcus and was pressing his jacket against Marcus's wounds. "Please stay with me. You saved my life. Please don't die." Marcus's eyes closed. Emma's face filled his mind, her smile, her laugh, the way she hugged him every morning before school. "Emma?" he whispered before everything went black. Beep, beep, beep. The sound pulled Marcus back from the darkness. His eyelids felt like they weighed 1,000 pounds. Pain radiated through his entire body. "Daddy?" That voice. "Is Emma?" Marcus forced his eyes open. Bright hospital lights made him squint. His daughter's face appeared above him, tears streaming down her cheeks. Mrs. Chin, their elderly neighbor who watched Emma when Marcus worked nights, stood behind her. "Daddy, you're awake." Emma sobbed, clutching his hand. "I was so scared. They said you got hurt really bad." Marcus tried to speak, but his throat was dry. A nurse appeared, adjusting his IV and checking the monitors around his bed. "Mr. Thompson," the nurse said gently, "you're very lucky to be alive. 3 gunshot wounds. You lost a lot of blood. You've been unconscious for 2 days. 2 days. Marcus's mind raced. His job. The bills. Emma. How would they survive? My job. He croaked. "Don't worry about that now," Mrs. Chin said softly, but Marcus could see the worry in her eyes. She was 73, living on a small pension. She helped with Emma out of kindness, but she couldn't support them. The door opened. A tall man in an expensive suit walked in, Richard Caldwell. The CEO looked different from the terrified man Marcus had shielded. He stood straight, his face serious but his eyes warm. "Marcus Thompson," Richard said, his voice thick with emotion. "You took 3 bullets for me. You saved my life without hesitation." Marcus tried to sit up, but pain shot through his chest. "Just doing my job, sir?" "No." Richard shook his head. "What you did was beyond any job. You have a daughter. You could have driven away, saved yourself. But you didn't. You protected a stranger with your own life." Emma held her father's hand tighter. Marcus looked at his little girl and felt tears burning in his eyes. He had survived for her. Richard pulled a chair close to the bed. "I learned something about you while you were unconscious. Your wife Sarah died 2 years ago. Kidney failure. You've been raising Emma alone, working long hours, struggling with medical debt from your wife's treatment. He paused. Just like I'm fighting kidney failure now. Marcus nodded weakly. The pain of losing Sarah still felt fresh. I'm going to help you, Richard said firmly. But first I need you to recover. Rest now. Everything is going to change, Marcus. I promise you that. Marcus wanted to ask what he meant, but exhaustion pulled him under again. His last thought before sleep claimed him was the feeling of Emma's small hand in his. Marcus woke the next morning to voices outside his hospital room. He recognized Richard's voice and another man's, angry, threatening. You can't do this, Richard, the other man shouted. That company is half mine. You tried to kill me, James, Richard replied coldly. My own brother. For money and power. Marcus's eyes widened. He remembered Richard's whispered words during the attack. My brother wants me dead. You have no proof. James Caldwell snarled. I have the bullets from the car. I have surveillance footage from 3 cameras on that street. I have the SUV license plates traced back to men you've hired before. And I have a witness, the man who saved my life while you tried to take it. Silence fell. Then James's voice came again, lower and more dangerous. This isn't over. Yes, it is. The police are waiting downstairs. Security is outside this door. You're done, James. Footsteps stomped away. The door opened. Richard entered, looking tired but relieved. I'm sorry you heard that, Richard said, sitting down heavily. Your own brother? Marcus whispered, shocked. Richard nodded, pain clear in his eyes. James has been jealous of me his entire life. When I got sick, when my kidneys started failing, he saw his chance. If I died before finding a transplant, he would inherit everything. The company, the fortune, all of it. I'm sorry, Marcus said. Don't be sorry for me. Be sorry for him. He destroyed our family for greed. Richard leaned forward. But that's why what you did means so much more. You, a stranger, risked everything to save me. You have your own struggles, your own daughter to protect, but you didn't hesitate. Richard stood and walked to the window. The morning sun was rising over Chicago, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. I told you yesterday that everything would change, Richard continued. I meant it. Marcus, I'm offering you a position as head of personal security at Caldwell Industries. Salary, $300,000 a year. Marcus's jaw dropped. $300,000? That was more than he made in 5 years of driving. But wait, Richard held up his hand. There's more. I'm paying off all your medical debts, yours and your late wife's. Every penny. You'll start with a clean slate. Tears filled Marcus's eyes. The weight of those debts had crushed him for 2 years. He could barely breathe. Your daughter Emma, Richard continued, his voice softening. She'll receive a full scholarship to the best private school in Chicago. All expenses paid through high school. When she's ready for college, that's covered too. Any university she chooses. Marcus couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. This couldn't be real. And one more thing, Richard said. I own a building downtown with vacant apartments. You and Emma will live in one rent-free. 3 bedrooms, updated kitchen, safe neighborhood with good schools nearby. It's yours for as long as you need it. Why? Marcus finally choked out. Why are you doing all this? Richard turned from the window, and Marcus saw tears in the CEO's eyes. Because you showed me what real character looks like, Richard said quietly. You didn't know I was rich when you saved me. You didn't know I could reward you. You just knew a human being needed protection and you gave it without thinking of yourself. In my world, Marcus, everyone wants something from me. Everyone has an angle. But you? You just wanted to do the right thing. Richard wiped his eyes. My brother tried to kill me for money. But you, a man struggling to survive, saved me for nothing. That's the difference between a good man and a bad one. And I will not let a good man suffer when I have the power to help him. Marcus couldn't hold back his tears anymore. They poured down his face. All the pain, all the struggle, all the fear of the past 2 years, it all came flooding out. Thank you, he sobbed. Thank you. No, Marcus. Richard gripped his hand firmly. Thank you. You gave me my life. Let me give you yours back. When Mrs. Chun brought Emma to the hospital that afternoon, Marcus told her the news. His daughter's face transformed from worry to pure joy. Daddy, really? We get a new home? I can go to a good school? Emma's eyes were huge. Really, sweetheart. Everything's going to be okay now. Emma threw her arms around him, careful not to hurt his wounds. Mommy's watching from heaven, she whispered. She sent Mr. Richard to help us because you were so brave. Marcus held his daughter tight. Maybe Emma was right. Maybe Sarah was looking out for them somehow. Mrs. Chin cried happy tears. Oh Marcus, this is wonderful. Just wonderful. You deserve this after everything you've been through. Over the next few days, as Marcus recovered in the hospital, Richard visited every day. They talked for hours. Marcus learned that Richard wasn't just a wealthy CEO. He was a man who had suffered too. My wife left me when I got sick, Richard confessed one evening. She said she didn't sign up for this. For dialysis 3 times a week. For the possibility of death. She wanted the money and the lifestyle but not the sickness. I'm sorry, Marcus said. That must have hurt. It did. But it taught me who people really are when times get hard. Your wife Sarah, she fought beside you until the end, didn't she? Marcus nodded. Every day. Even when she was so weak she could barely stand, she'd sit with Emma, reading to her, making her laugh. She never gave up. That's real love, Richard said softly. That's what I'm still searching for. Someone who sees me, not my money. Someone who would stay through the darkness. You'll find it, Marcus assured him. Richard smiled sadly. Maybe. If I live long enough. Still waiting for that transplant. The words hit Marcus hard. This man who had saved him was still fighting his own battle against death. 3 weeks later, Marcus was released from the hospital. His wounds were healing, though the doctors said he'd carry the scars forever. Marcus didn't mind. Every scar was a reminder that he'd saved a life. Richard sent a car to take Marcus and Emma to their new apartment. When they arrived, Marcus stood on the sidewalk and stared up at the beautiful building. Glass and steel gleamed in the sunlight. A doorman in a smart uniform greeted them with a smile. Mr. Thompson, Miss Emma, welcome home. The apartment was on the 8th floor. When Richard opened the door, Emma gasped. Sunlight streamed through huge windows. The living room was spacious with comfortable furniture. The kitchen sparkled with new appliances. 3 bedrooms just as Richard had promised. 1 for Marcus, 1 for Emma, and 1 for guests. But what made Emma scream with delight was her bedroom. Richard had decorated it with bookshelves full of new books, a desk for homework, and a window seat where she could read and look out over the city. On the bed sat a stuffed bear with a note. For Emma, the brave daughter of a brave father. Richard. Emma hugged the bear and burst into tears. I love it, Daddy. I love it so much. Marcus's own eyes were wet as he looked at Richard. You didn't have to do all this. Yes, I did, Richard replied. Emma lost her mother. She almost lost you too. She deserves some happiness. That night, after Emma fell asleep clutching her new bear, Marcus and Richard sat in the living room. The city lights twinkled below them. I start work on Monday, Marcus said. I've been studying the security protocols you sent. You'll do great, Richard assured him. But Marcus, I need you to understand something. This job isn't charity. I need someone I can trust absolutely. Someone who will protect the company and its people. After what James did, I know there are others who might want to hurt us. I need you. I won't let you down, Marcus promised. I know you won't. That's why I chose you. The trial of James Caldwell began 2 months later. Marcus had to testify about the attack. Sitting in the courtroom, looking at the man who had tried to kill Richard, who had nearly made Emma an orphan, Marcus felt anger burn in his chest. James's lawyer tried to discredit Marcus. Isn't it true that Mr. Caldwell gave you money, a job, and an apartment? Isn't it possible you're lying to protect your benefactor? Marcus looked the lawyer straight in the eye. Mr. Caldwell gave me those things after I was shot, saving his life. I didn't know who he was when I covered his body with mine. I didn't know he was rich. I just knew he was a human being who needed help. I would have done the same for anyone. The courtroom was silent. Even the lawyer looked moved. I almost died, Marcus continued, his voice strong. I almost left my 7-year-old daughter alone in this world. But I don't regret protecting Mr. Caldwell. I regret that his own brother valued money more than family. I regret that some people are so consumed by greed that they forget what it means to be human. When Marcus finished testifying, he saw several jury members wiping their eyes. James sat stone-faced, but Marcus saw something flicker in his expression. Shame, perhaps, or regret. The verdict came 3 days later, guilty on all counts. Attempted murder, conspiracy, fraud. James Caldwell was sentenced to 25 years in prison. As they left the courthouse, Richard stopped and turned to Marcus. It's over, he said quietly. Justice is done. How do you feel? Marcus asked. Richard was quiet for a long moment. He was my brother. We played together as children. But he chose this path. He chose greed over love, violence over family. I'll mourn the brother I thought I had, but I won't forgive what he tried to do. Marcus understood. Justice felt right, but it couldn't erase the pain of betrayal. Months passed. Marcus excelled in his new position. He rebuilt the security systems at Caldwell Industries, hired trustworthy personnel, and created protocols that would prevent any future attacks. Richard trusted him completely. But more than that, they became friends. Real friends. Richard often came to the apartment for dinner. Emma adored him. She called him Uncle Richard, and would show him her homework, her drawings, her latest library books. Richard listened to every word, genuinely interested in her life. She's brilliant, Richard told Marcus one evening after Emma went to bed. Sarah would be so proud. She is proud, Marcus said softly. I feel her sometimes, you know? Like she's still watching over us. Richard nodded. I believe that. Love doesn't end just because someone dies. It continues. It transforms. It becomes something eternal. The friendship healed something in both of them. Marcus had been so lonely after Sarah died, carrying all his burdens alone. Richard had been surrounded by people but trusted none of them. Together, they found the companionship they both desperately needed. 1 year after the attack, Marcus walked into the hospital room where Richard lay connected to a dialysis machine. It was late afternoon and golden sunlight slanted through the windows. Richard looked tired. The treatments were getting harder. His body was weakening. How are you feeling? Marcus asked, sitting down. Honestly? Not great. The doctors say I'm running out of time. If a kidney doesn't become available soon. Richard didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Marcus felt fear grip his heart. After everything, was he going to lose his friend? There has to be something we can do, Marcus said desperately. There isn't, Richard replied with a sad smile. I'm on the transplant list. I've been on it for years. I just have to wait and hope. Marcus couldn't accept that. That night he couldn't sleep. He lay in bed thinking about Richard, about all he'd done for Emma and him. About the friendship they'd built. About the man who had given them back their lives. The next morning Marcus made a decision. He went to the hospital and asked to speak with Richard's doctor. I want to be tested as a kidney donor, Marcus said. The doctor looked surprised. Mr. Thompson, do you understand what you're asking? Kidney donation is major surgery. There are risks. And you'd be living with one kidney for the rest of your life. I understand, Marcus said firmly. Test me. The testing took 2 weeks. When the results came back, Dr. Chin called Marcus into his office with a smile. You're a match, she said. Not a perfect match but compatible enough. The surgery can be done. Marcus felt relief and fear war inside him. This was real. He was really going to do this. Don't tell Mr. Caldwell yet, Marcus requested. I need to talk to someone first. That evening Marcus sat Emma down. His daughter was 8 now, smart and perceptive. Sweetheart, I need to talk to you about something important, he began. Emma looked at him with those serious brown eyes so like her mother's. Marcus explained about Richard's kidneys, about the transplant list, about being a donor. I want to give Uncle Richard one of my kidneys, Marcus said. It means I'll have surgery. I'll be in the hospital for a little while. But I'll be okay. And Uncle Richard will get better. Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, Mommy died because she couldn't get a new kidney, didn't she? Marcus nodded, his throat tight. Yes. And Uncle Richard might die too if he doesn't get one? Yes. Emma stood up and hugged her father tight. Then you should do it, Daddy. Uncle Richard saved us. He gave us this home, my school, everything. And he's our family now. You have to save him like he saved us. Tears rolled down Marcus's face. His daughter, his beautiful, compassionate daughter, understood. You're so much like your mother, he whispered. So brave and loving. Will you be scared? Emma asked. A little, Marcus admitted. But I'll be thinking of you and Uncle Richard. That will make me brave. When Marcus told Richard about his decision, the CEO broke down completely. No, Richard said, shaking his head, tears streaming down his face. No, Marcus, I can't let you do this. You've already given so much. You took bullets for me. I can't ask you to give me a kidney too. You're not asking, Marcus said gently. I'm offering. You gave me and Emma our lives back. Let me give you yours. But what if something goes wrong? What if something happens to you? Emma? We'll be taken care of, Marcus interrupted. You'll make sure of that. But nothing's going to happen. I'm going to give you this kidney and we're both going to be fine. And then you're going to live, Richard. You're going to have more time. Time to find love. Time to make new memories. Time to watch Emma grow up with me. Richard covered his face with his hands and sobbed. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you. Yes, you do, Marcus said firmly. You deserve to live, Richard. You're a good man. The world needs more people like you. And I need my friend. The surgery was scheduled for 3 weeks later. The night before, Marcus tucked Emma into bed and kissed her forehead. I love you, sweetheart. More than anything in this world. I love you too, Daddy. You're going to be fine. I know it. Mommy will watch over you. And I'll be right here when you wake up. The next morning, as they wheeled Marcus into surgery, he saw Richard in the next operating room. Their eyes met through the windows. Marcus gave him a thumbs up. Richard placed his hand over his heart, a gesture that meant everything. The anesthesia pulled Marcus under. His last thought was a prayer. Sarah, if you're listening, watch over us. Watch over our daughter. And help me save our friend. Marcus woke up in pain but alive. The surgery had been successful. His kidney was now inside Richard's body, filtering his blood, giving him life. Emma was the first face he saw, her small hand in his. You did it, Daddy. You saved Uncle Richard. Over the next few days, both Marcus and Richard recovered in rooms next to each other. Nurses wheeled them side by side so they could talk. How are you feeling? Marcus asked. Richard's eyes were bright, brighter than Marcus had seen them in over a year. Alive, Richard said, wonder in his voice. For the first time in years, I actually feel alive. The kidney is working perfectly. My body is healing. Marcus, you didn't just give me an organ. You gave me a future. Good, Marcus said, smiling despite his pain. Now you have to make the most of it. Live well. Be happy. Find someone to love. I will, Richard promised. And I'll spend the rest of my life proving I was worthy of this gift. But Richard didn't wait to start. While they recovered, he worked from his hospital bed. He established the Sarah Thompson Foundation in honor of Marcus's late wife, a foundation dedicated to helping families struggling with medical debt and supporting kidney disease research. He funded it with $50 million. Sarah's memory will help thousands of people, Richard told Marcus. Your sacrifice, her struggle, it will mean something. Marcus wept. His wife's pain, his family's suffering, it would be transformed into hope for others. When Emma heard about the foundation, she brought one of her favorite pictures of her mother to the hospital. Can this be on the website? She asked Richard. So people know how beautiful Mommy was? It would be an honor, Richard said softly. 6 months after the surgery, both Marcus and Richard were fully recovered. Marcus returned to work with a new perspective on life. Every day was precious. Every moment with Emma was a gift. And every morning when he saw Richard arrive at the office, healthy and strong, Marcus felt gratitude wash over him. But something else was growing too. The bond between them had deepened into something profound, a brotherhood forged in sacrifice and gratitude. Richard's life had changed in other ways too. He met someone, Dr. Lisa Chin, the surgeon who had performed their transplants. She saw Richard as a man, not a billionaire. She loved his kindness, his humility, his determination to use his second chance at life to help others. When Richard introduced her to Marcus and Emma, Marcus knew immediately she was special. The way she looked at Richard, the gentle way she touched his hand, it was real love. She's wonderful, Marcus told Richard later. Sarah would be happy for you. I think she would, Richard agreed. And Marcus, I want you to know, you'll always be my brother. Blood didn't make us family. Choice did. Sacrifice did. You gave me life twice. I will never forget that. At Emma's 9th birthday party, a celebration held in their apartment with cake and balloons and all her new school friends, Marcus looked around at the life they'd built. Emma laughing. Richard and Lisa smiling. Mrs. Chin enjoying cake. Friends and love filling the space where once there had been only struggle and loneliness. Sarah's picture sat on the mantel, her smile watching over them all. We made it, Marcus whispered to her photo. Our baby girl is happy. We're okay. I hope you're proud of us. A feeling of peace settled over him. He knew somehow that Sarah was proud. That she was happy. That she was at rest knowing her family had found joy again. 5 years after that rainy night when bullets tore through a car and a security driver became a hero, Marcus stood on a stage in front of hundreds of people. Richard had asked him to speak at the annual Sarah Thompson Foundation Gala. The foundation had grown beyond anyone's expectations, helping over 10,000 families with medical debt, funding research that brought new treatments for kidney disease, and supporting patients on transplant lists. Marcus looked out at the crowd. Emma sat in the front row, now 12 years old and beautiful, the image of her mother. Next to her sat Richard and Lisa, married now for 2 years. Mrs. Chin beamed from her seat. And on the screen behind Marcus, Sarah's picture glowed. 5 years ago, Marcus began, I was a man who had lost everything. My wife had died. I was drowning in debt. I was working 3 jobs trying to give my daughter a decent life. I was one bad break away from complete disaster. The room was silent, everyone listening. Then one night, bullets flew. Assassins attacked my car. And I had a choice. I could try to save myself or I could protect the man in my backseat. I chose to protect him. Not because he was rich. Not because I expected a reward. But because it was the right thing to do. Marcus paused, emotion thick in his throat. Those 3 bullets changed my life. But not in the way you might think. Yes, the man I saved, Richard Caldwell, gave me a job, a home and security for my daughter. But he gave me something more important. He gave me hope. He showed me that goodness still exists in this world. That people still care about doing what's right. Marcus looked directly at Richard. And when my friend needed a kidney, I had another choice. I could say it was too much to ask. Too much to give. But I remembered what he taught me, that we save each other. That we sacrifice for those we love. That family isn't just blood. It's choice. Tears rolled down Richard's face. Lisa held his hand tight. Today, the Sarah Thompson Foundation helps families just like mine used to be. Families who are struggling. Families who are scared. Families who need hope. Every person we help, every life we save, is proof that love is stronger than death. That sacrifice matters. That one act of courage can ripple out and change the world. Marcus gestured to Emma. His daughter stood and joined him on stage, confident and strong. This is my daughter, Emma. She lost her mother at 5 years old. She almost lost me too. But she survived. She thrived. And she's going to do incredible things with her life. She wants to be a doctor, to help people with kidney disease, to continue her mother's legacy and mine. The crowd burst into applause. Emma hugged her father and Marcus held her tight. My wife Sarah used to say that love never dies, Marcus continued when the applause faded. It just changes form. It becomes action. It becomes sacrifice. It becomes hope for others. Today, Sarah's love lives on in this foundation. In every family we help. In every life we save. Marcus looked up at his wife's picture. We did it, Sarah. We turned our pain into purpose. Our struggle into strength. And our love into a legacy that will outlast all of us. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. People were crying, including Marcus. But these were good tears. Healing tears. After the gala, Richard pulled Marcus aside. Brother, he said, using the term they'd adopted for each other. I have something to tell you. Lisa's pregnant. We're having a baby. Marcus's face split into a huge smile. He grabbed Richard in a bear hug. That's amazing. Congratulations. We want you to be the godfather, Richard said. And Marcus, if it's a boy, we're naming him after you. Marcus Richard Caldwell. So that our son will know that the greatest man I ever met was the one who saved my life twice. Marcus couldn't speak. He just held his friend and let the tears flow. Marcus Thompson stood in the cemetery, his hand in Emma's. She was 22 now, in her final year of medical school. She'd been accepted to Harvard, Yale, and Stanford, but she'd chosen to stay in Chicago, to be close to home, to the foundation, to the family they'd built. They stood before Sarah's grave, the headstone cleaned and decorated with fresh flowers, Emma's ritual every Sunday. Hey Mom, Emma said softly. I have news. I got my residency placement. I'm going to specialize in nephrology, kidneys like you had trouble with, like Uncle Richard struggled with. I'm going to help people, Mom. Just like you would have wanted. Marcus squeezed his daughter's hand, pride overwhelming him. And Dad's doing great, Emma continued. He's not just head of security anymore. He's on the board of directors at Caldwell Industries. And the foundation now operates in 15 states. We've helped over 50,000 families. Can you believe that, Mom? 50,000 families have hope because of what happened to us. Emma placed her hand on the headstone. Uncle Richard and Aunt Lisa's kids are wonderful. Little Marcus is 6 now and wants to be a police officer. Baby Sarah, yes, they named her after you, just turned 3. She has your smile, Mom. I see you in her. Marcus added, Richard's doing well. His kidney, my kidney, is still working perfectly 10 years later. He runs marathons now, raising money for the foundation. He says every step he takes is thanks to you, Sarah. Thanks to the love you left behind that taught me how to sacrifice for others. They stood in silence for a moment, the breeze rustling through the trees. "I miss you, Mom," Emma whispered. "Every single day. But I'm not sad anymore. Because I see you everywhere. In Dad's courage. In Uncle Richard's kindness. In the families we help. In the love that surrounds us. You're not really gone. You just transformed into something bigger than one person. You became hope itself." As they walked back to the car, Emma said, "Dad, do you ever regret it? Taking those bullets? Giving your kidney? Everything that happened." Marcus stopped and looked at his daughter, his brilliant, compassionate, beautiful daughter who was going to save lives just like her mother would have wanted. "Not for 1 second," he said. "Those choices led us here. To this moment. To you becoming the amazing woman you are. To a friendship that changed my life. To a foundation that helps thousands. If I had to do it all again, I'd make the same choices every single time. Even though it hurt? Even though you could have died. Especially because of that," Marcus said. "Because the best things in life require sacrifice. Real love, the kind your mother taught me, means being willing to give everything for others. That's what makes us human. That's what makes life worth living." Emma hugged him tight. "I love you, Dad. You're my hero." "No, sweetheart. You're mine. You and your mother, you showed me what real courage looks like. I just followed your example." As they drove home through the Chicago streets, the same streets where bullets had flown 10 years ago, Marcus thought about the journey, the pain and the joy, the loss and the redemption, the way one moment of courage had rippled out and changed so many lives. He thought about Richard, healthy and happy with his family, about the foundation bearing Sarah's name helping families across the country, about Emma, about to embark on her own journey of healing others, about the scars on his body that reminded him every day that love was worth fighting for, worth bleeding for, worth living for. Marcus smiled. 3 bullets had torn through his body that rainy night. But they hadn't destroyed him. They'd transformed him. They'd shown him that sometimes you have to break before you can heal. Sometimes you have to lose everything to gain what truly matters. Love, family, purpose, hope. These were the things that lasted. These were the things worth dying for, and more importantly worth living for. And as the sun set over Chicago, painting the sky in shades of gold and red, Marcus knew with absolute certainty that Sarah was smiling down on them, proud of the man he'd become, the daughter they'd raised, and the legacy of love they'd created together. Sometimes Marcus thought the end is really just the beginning. And this was a beautiful beginning indeed.